pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I guess they have the big flag upstairs, right?
Maybe we could get a new one for him. Okay, roll call, please, Carla.
Robert Mueller,
Here.
Kathleen Walsh, Mary Beth Ferguson, Tom Hooper,
Here.
and Sabrina Forbes.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. You have an agenda in front of you that Carla had sent out previously. Are there any additions or to the agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as issued.
I so move.
Tom moved.
I second.
Sabrina seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. In your packet are the minutes from the February meeting. You finished your class?
I have.
Okay, very good. So now you get to work at night, huh? Just take a minute to read those.
I realized after the fact that I neglected to mention that our chair had welcomed Tom Hooper as a new member of the TTC. So,
We'll make a change to that also. I think it says the motion carried 6-0. I think that should be 5-0 since Beth is a non-voting liaison.
okay.
Okay, I'll make those.
So all the
It's
sixes
confusing in the tourism.
Should be fives.
On this one, it's 5. She is a voting member in the other, the Tourism Advisory Council.
I'll make all of those changes, and in which, was it under new business that you welcome Tom Hooper?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, with those changes, would anyone like to make a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Sabrina?
I'll second it.
Tom will second it. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carried. Okay, the financial report. You have in your packet it's kind of like the check register kind of thing that for the funds that we have under our purview. I'd asked Sandra, we had a discussion yesterday about maybe coming up with a new format for this committee to deal with in terms of what monies do we have, what monies do we have obligated, what monies do we think are still going to come in, and what other projects which are not committed at this point do we maybe see on the horizon. So I think I'll let Sandra go over this and she
Sure.
put it together.
Sure. So the premise behind this was to really start with our October 1st beginning fund balance, and that was $17,782. And since October 1st through the end of February, between lodging tax receipts and interest on the balance, the funds received this fiscal year so far, $10,127 for a subtotal of $27,909. Then Bob asked me to estimate the future revenues in this account, basically March 1st through the end of the fiscal year. So I went back to 2014 and 15 and took the average of the March 1 through September 30 for both of those. 2015 was higher than 2014, so I did the average, and that came out to 14,119. So if you look at this like a projection, our total at the end of the fiscal year, including the carry forward, would be 42,028. And now that's important because that includes the fund balance carry forward that we had last year, and Bob has mentioned in the previous
all our projections and everything.
Yeah, well, he's mentioned on previous meetings that carry forward has been kind of hefty. You know, we may not need all of that carry forward, so That's something that you'll see down here at the bottom, discussion of a targeted carry forward.
One of the things we can't do is we can't spend money we don't have.
Right,
So that we have to look at our obligations that are coming forward.
Right, and you have to assume that there's gonna be some things won't quite hit goal.
Right.
Right.
So that's kind of why we,
That's figuring where a comfortable carryover is.
right.
Exactly. So, so there in the center, you have a summary of current obligations. Now, you'll notice that on the first line item, 875 per quarter times 4 quarters. If you look at the expenses that we've had so far in the year, we've already paid 1 quarter of that. I think the first Madden bill for 607 was probably for a previous period. But the the January 29th payment of 874, that would have been for a quarter of search engine marketing. So, that 875 times 4 comes up to 3,500. Technically, we're approving that a quarter at a time right now. You can change that if you want, but I thought we may as well figure that under
We
current.
actually have 1 quarter approved.
Correct. At
So-
the last meeting, yeah. So we're presently in a quarter where we've approved it. So that makes 2 of the quarters that are already approved. I thought, why don't we just put them all 4 on here, under current obligations. As you know, that second expense line item is for the rental of the sign, the new sign out in Wine Country. And that should be moving forward pretty soon. But it's already been voted by the committee though, so it's an obligation. Renewal on the Drury sign number 1, 5,700. Renewal on number 2, 6,870. And then we had a radio campaign in December that was 1,075 in the St. Louis market. And then at the previous meeting, as you know, we approved 1,200 for the first purchase of an iPad, tablet, and stand. So those commitments subtotaled 18,995. We've talked variously about other options, and we talked specifically about other tablet kiosks, and so we can talk about some of those. But our projection under that revenue assumption and those current obligations would be 23,033. So, with 14,000 of that projected to come in between March and September, and knowing that we had a carry forward of 17,782. So
I guess the only thing that I would change is, you know, obligated or committed via purchase order or something, but not paid, which is some of this. And then we have ones that we have agreed to, but we haven't.
we still have to vote on them, yes.
Right,
You still
right,
have to vote on
right.
them. That would include, so, in other words, those 2 Drury signs would fall in that latter category, because those are 3-year commitments that we make. Technically, I believe that at this meeting, we want to approve that 5,700 and the
Yeah, I
6,870.
guess the question was when are those due?
March.
Those are
Yeah.
March, okay.
And you'd be paying that amount for 3 years?
No, we pay, that's per year.
That's per
That's
year.
annually, yeah.
And have we not approved that for this coming year yet? Is that what you just said?
Correct.
Okay.
In spirit, I suppose you did when you signed,
The
you know,
3.
the agreement, because we get a better price on it. And we
Well,
do
we
it
should
that way.
vote on that.
But it's billed and
Exactly.
paid annually.
Yes. Well, one of these is the first year that we've done this one. It was the southbound sign. We had 2 northbound signs with one very close to 142 exit, and we decided to drop that one and get the southbound. So I guess under new business, we ought to put the approval for those.
Well, we have expense approval there.
Okay.
Those just need to go over into that.
So,
I guess it would, I guess the term I would have would be authorized but not committed. Would be.
so that would be voted, but we haven't paid the bill yet, right?
Or, yeah, right.
Okay.
I think there's such a drag between when you issue a purchase order and when we actually have to pay the bill.
Mm-hmm.
That's where it
Yeah,
gets
they're
kind of
basically they're
confusing.
under contract.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's where we got caught about before you came on board with people, they were just looking at the budget and the bills weren't in and we thought we had all this money and we didn't have all this money.
Right.
So that's why it's important to look at,
Be tracking those
yeah,
commitments.
authorized but not committed, committed ones, where we're on the hook for it, and then, it should not be too big a deal since we don't have that many items.
Yeah. Bob, the second of the Drury signs, the 5700 one renews now in March. Technically, the other one would renew in July, so
Okay.
you could vote it now if you wanted.
What we've committed to is the annual, the 1 quarter for the SEM.
That is correct.
SEO.
Well, 2 quarters so far. One was prior to December, and then the one we
Okay.
just approved in this
And so-
period.
When will that one be for?
Uh,
January,
that was in
February,
the
March?
minutes, yeah, let's see, it should be January, February, March.
Okay.
Okay, then, and we've done the annual fee for the sign. We will be committing the
Well, it's committed, but
Authori-
it hasn't been paid. That, $650 hasn't been paid to the
Right,
property owner
right.
yet. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. So we're gonna authorize the, we've really, we haven't, well, we haven't committed those fees yet for the signs.
Correct, they would need to be voted. So the 650's been voted, the 1075 has been voted, and the 1200 has been voted. That helps.
Right.
650, 1075, and 1200.
Correct.
Okay. And then
And
875
times 2,
of that 3500.
1750 of that is done.
I'll sit down with you before the next meeting. I don't wanna complicate this too much,
Sure.
but just so we have an understanding of what,
Sure.
kind of where we're at in the process. I think this will eventually be a lot easier than looking at that financial report, plus it also has your estimate to complete or projection of spending that we can deal with.
That's just to be kind of two calls, what's committed, ready to be paid,
Yeah.
or paid this quarter, do we know what's coming?
Okay. And some considerations down the road. One of these is probably a little more eminent than the other one. I think you were talking about the tourism tablets. You know, last month we voted to set up an example or a trial balloon on that, which I know you're working on, and then there would be 3 more of those that would come down the road. And we can talk about that a little bit later, like new initiatives.
Yeah, it's not like we have to hurry to do that. This is March. We had talked about possibility of a spring radio contract if we wanted to do that. technically you could approve it in April if you wanted to, but if you know you want to do it, I could,
Yep.
if you vote it, I can reserve the airtime and we might get a little bit better airtime.
Okay. Is there any other questions, discussions about the financial report? I know this is the first time we're looking at it. If you have any suggestions, pass them on to Sandra and myself.
No, but it is my understanding that we are voting on the renewal of the signs.
We'll do that under expense
Okay.
approval under new business.
Okay.
Right now, we're just approving the
Right.
financial report.
Okay.
Okay. I think we need a motion to approve the financial report.
So moved.
Tommy? Sabrina?
Second.
Seconds. It's pretty hard. Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Again, if you have any suggestions on how you'd like to see this financial data.
Does this kind of help lay it out a little bit better
Oh,
for
sure.
people?
Yeah.
That's easy.
Because before, we had to go through the minutes and figure out what was
Right.
obligated, what wasn't,
Right.
what was paid, what wasn't.
Right.
The only thing I could think of, again, is this what I call cash flow issue. We ought to look at what our projected cash in and then our cash out when we're gonna actually pay these things so we don't get into trouble at any given time.
That is true, and that just certainly would be the way you would look at it from a business perspective. You know, if we maintain that carry forward of 10,000, you're never going to dip below that. Yeah, as far as cash flow.
And the biggest thing is if we have a couple of these major expenditures.
Right, that's what I was
at
just-
at
at a
a
point where
specific
we-
time.
Right.
Where we just need
Yeah.
to conserve,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, let's just kind of, for
Yeah.
next month, we'll just try to.
And
maybe-
and we can kind of see where this flows.
Right,
Make sure we don't see a bottleneck.
yeah. I really, I liked what you did last year when we were looking at the budget. You didn't look at just the 10 months, you looked at an estimate to complete for the total year, which
Right.
makes it much more realistic when we're looking at the budget. Okay, any other old business? You might give an update on the tablets, where you're at on that.
Yes. So we've ordered the first tablet. It's supposed to come in this week. And I've looked at a lot of the stands for them. And I wanted to actually get the tablet in and take some measurements on it. I think we can get the stand that we want that's attractive and that will fit it. It's sort of difficult to tell what the dimensions. So.
A lot of times they will say, when you look at them, that they'll say we're there for an iPad or,
Yes.
and even the different iPads.
Right, so the iPad Pro is the tablet that was selected, and so I just want to make sure that, I think we could return it if the stand didn't work, but I would just like to get some real good
I just remember looking at them, a lot of times they would say in the description what they were for.
Yeah, well, so some of them would say iPad Pro, and then I would go and it would say maximum of 9.8 inches, and it's bigger than that. I was like, well, it's not going to fit an iPad Pro, so we'll be moving forward on that. Of course, everyone knows, I hope, that tonight is Megan's first evening as Carla's replacement in the position as Special Projects Coordinator. So, obviously not having Megan at the Welcome Center is going to slow me down a little bit. I've got some substitutes, but there will be no substitutes
She'll
for
come down on
Megan.
her lunch hour.
Well, she knows where to send them if they come to City Hall first.
That's true.
So, so I might be bringing the iPad up the street, and Megan and I will sit down and figure out how to use it. Anyway, so.
Either that or we find some 7-year-olds.
Yeah, we'll get some high school students to come in. Anyway, so stay tuned. We'll be looking forward to more of that. The sign out at W and B should go in any time now. The property owner approved for them to come on to the property on basically a phone call's notice. They have to wait for the conditions in the field to be right, but,
Good.
so that should be going up. Definitely before the tourist season, but even probably in the next month, I would say it'll be up.
And I know that you sent out something on the SEM or SEO.
Yes, I did. It's actually search engine marketing, so it's SEM. And so what we were looking at, we talked, I think it was Tom asked about it at the last meeting. We talked about, we've done a year-over-year comparison of the search engine marketing, specifically for comparing Google search engine results to Google search engine results for October, November, December of 14 to the same period in 15. And so the total impressions were up in October by 52%, in November by 83%, and in December by 69%. Those are pretty significant. We also added about, well, maybe about $100 to the campaign compared to what we were doing last year. Last year, I think it was $250 per month, something like that. So we're you pay for the clicks that you get, but or you pay for the impressions that you get, and then our click-through rate.
Explain what that is again.
Yeah, so the click-through rate is, so these impressions are served up, and if Sabrina saw, 5 different impressions and you clicked on the one that was St. Genevieve, then you would be a click-through to the website when that impression was served up to you. So, so the click-through rate, let me see this.
Just down a little bit.
So yeah, so those you went way up in your total impressions, and the click-through rate was a little bit down from 2014 to 2015. Google considers anything above a 1% click-through rate as excellent. So we're even at the 2.0% click-through rate. We're high as far as Google's interpretation. And then the last item that you have down there is the Bing campaign. And so at this time last year, Bing was not available on search engine marketing through the Madden program that coordinates across the state. So we added that, and that's part of what our total spend is now. So we didn't have anything to compare that to, but you can see that's bringing us a lot of additional impressions and additional click-throughs too.
Pretty
Almost
amazing.
about a third more.
Bing just took over my PC in the last couple of days.
See? It's
Just
lovely people like us who are funding that. But
all of a
that's
sudden,
what,
when Google doesn't pop up as my search engine automatically,
Oh.
now it's Bing, and I'm going, what happened?
you must have said yes at
Yes,
one point
at one
and you
point.
didn't realize.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep, that'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get you every
And you
time.
can't take it off
It
either.
says, do
I
you
mean,
want a
it's-
cold
You
beer? And
can,
put
it's-
yes, and that's
You
what
got to go
happens.
behind the scenes to
I
do
know,
it.
their instructions aren't good either.
No, they make it
They're
challenging.
they're designed to deceive.
They are.
They make it
That's
challenging for you.
encouraging. So,
Yes, yeah. So, at any rate, so there we have some search engine marketing results.
Thank you very much for doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I like to compare those one year to the next and see. And Bob and I were talking about this yesterday. You can't narrow it. We have an integrated marketing communications program. So we have print, we have social media, we have earned coverage, we have also the search engine marketing, we have the radio. So many things feed into it, but all of our call to action includes our website, obviously, and usually also our phone number. So this increase, you have all of those things combined to be increasing the awareness of St. Genevieve as a destination. So.
do they give you any analytics on meta words or the keywords?
Yes, yes. It's a separate report, and I get that monthly as well. So I make adjustments to the keyword searches on an as-needed basis. Sometimes they even give suggestions. Like I generally, I'll throw out there what some of our major upcoming events are, so that if somebody hears about something, like we have through our regular marketing program, we have a radio campaign with the public radio station in Cape Girardeau. So every now and then they'll throw out something like, and this news has been sponsored by Historic St. Genevieve, where the garden walk is coming up. So we'll add, like for instance, garden walk to our keywords for the months of April and May. In addition to all the other things
Then
like
you'll be able to
lodging,
see if that
historical.
pops up as
Right.
as
Mhm.
working.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, very good. Any other old business? Then let's move on to new business, expense approvals. What would you like to consider first?
Probably the renewal on the jury sign number 1 would be a biggie.
That's the northbound sign?
That is the northbound sign, yes.
Okay.
That's the one that comes up to renew this month.
Does anyone want to make a motion to approve that?
I think I'm opposed on those signs. It's just, I think the marketing and everything on Google is the way that everybody goes nowadays when you're driving down the road. I think everybody hits their phone. I don't think anybody's up looking at the signs. That's
Actually,
just me.
that's not what we experience at the Welcome Center. It's probably, other than friends and family, it's probably one of the most frequently mentioned things is that they saw the sign and just decided to get off. They've been meaning to come. I mean, just about immediately when we put those signs up a couple of years ago, we had people immediately saying, saw your sign on the interstate and loved it. But
Are you going to keep yours at Bloomsdale, or?
I don't think we are.
Okay.
I think whenever it comes up, because we've already taken one down because everybody, like Googles us or.
yeah, lodging, I don't.
Yeah, usually that's what they do. Nearest hotel's near me.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When they're traveling and they're
And that's,
sleepy at
that's
night.
very easy on the phones now
Yes.
because you
It's,
got,
it's on everything.
yeah.
I think that's where we should put more of the money, more into that marketing. That's just me.
Well, we have some carryover, and that's the nice thing, is we have a little bit of money there that we can decide on some new places to put some money, that we have, in my previous community, we did get a sign, and it did help some, but the problem with it is the town had no open signs in it, and so, when you have one, you've got to have the other.
Right.
And we do have the downtown is getting more.
Loaded with
Yeah,
stuff.
it really is a good thing now, and people are coming into town, and through signs like it really doesn't matter what we do to bring people in. It's a matter of finding the most cost-effective ways and going with a multiple prong approach. And the only concern that I have is committing that type of money year after year after year to that. Where do we see the diminishing returns on it, and where do we see it? And that's just looking towards the future. We kind of need to be. Yes, we've made a commitment for these signs with the sign company, but we also still have to generate the funds for those. We also need to be looking at a multi-pronged approach, and where are these signs in the future? They're there now and they're working now, but just like the internet, it changes so often. We have to be looking at the next way to do it.
Absolutely,
All
multiple pronged marketing approach that's what we do.
Right.
I mean, this is just
Right.
one piece of that puzzle.
right, and it's trying to find the most economical way to do that in the long term. Right now, it is an effective way now, but transportation is going to change dramatically in the next 5 years. So we actually need to begin thinking of what we're going to replace that with, and where we can do that when the time comes. And it's a matter of, is the time now to to start backing off on some of those things. But we have the number 2 sign is a new sign for us, right?
Was that a 3-year commitment also, or was it a 3-year option, or?
Yes, yes. So this sign is sign number 2 is the one that is just south of the Festus Cloverleaf exit on the right-hand side as you're driving southbound.
That's the one up for renewal right now?
No.
No, that's the one
That's
that'll
the
be up
number
in
2.
renewal in
Okay.
in
Yeah, that's the
July.
southbound sign.
Okay.
And it's,
This one, the one that's up for renewal now is the one that is just north of Cape Girardeau.
Okay.
So it's on the right-hand side as you're driving northbound, right there,
it's
kind
actually,
of close to
it's
Jackson.
actually a nice location because there's nothing around it. It kind of stands out.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you get so many signs in a row. And this one is nice because it's
Right.
there's nothing there, and it's all of a sudden, whoa.
Right.
We were coming up from Memphis last week, and I think I saw a Stoney's sign down in Arkansas. It was
Yeah.
amazing.
They are buying more and more signs, and you
Yeah.
know they wouldn't be doing it if it didn't work.
Yeah.
So
That's
Who's that?
Stoney's.
Stoney's Sausage in Perryville,
Yeah.
and they're selling sausage. They're buying a lot of signs on that sausage.
That place is always busy. There's one just like it in Herman that there's no parking for 2 blocks around the store.
Yeah.
Well, is
We
this?
can't vote then if we,
Yeah, we can. I mean,
yeah.
we can throw it on the table and see if we approve it or disapprove it. I think this is the 3rd year for that sign, I believe, the one coming from the south. Well, we gotta make a decision this month on this one.
Right. Well, it is, both of those are a lot of money as far as a real high percentage of what we're using for our campaigns. And it's a matter of balancing everything.
And if we voted on it today, it would be the 3-year contract?
No, this is
just
just
for 1
This
year.
is just for paying
One-year
it.
contract.
Yeah, for the 1 year.
Yeah, what we did, we got, the price is a 3-year price.
Right.
So if we said, yeah, we're not gonna renew it or whatever, the price would change. And oftentimes.
Well, do we have
it-
the ability to stop in the middle of the 3-year period, or?
In the middle of the 3-year period.
I-
I think they give you special price considerations for the longevity of it. But that one would renew, we just started that one.
The second one.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we really just started that last year. Because we were really excited to get it, because that's the one that New Madrid had had for years and years. And then they, missed a deadline and we got it.
So we need to, and is that the only thing on these expenses that needs to be approved at this time?
Probably that and the sign number 1 and probably the next quarter of the
marketing.
SEO.
And, I would suggest the, radio campaign for your consideration,
For
the campaign number 2,
Yeah.
down here.
Down here.
Phase 2.
Phase 2.
Um,
We've already funded, and paid for that number 1.
Yes, that bill was paid in December.
So that's pretty much off the obligations, correct?
Well, it's, all of these are coming out of that balance, so. yeah.
Okay, but that should have been a paid bill and not included in that balance.
That is correct. It was paid December 30th.
Okay, so that's actually out of that balance. So that's paid.
That's what I think we've got to figure out a little bit.
And you need
Clear.
two columns there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's included in the total commitment for the time period. It's
Right,
already been
right.
paid out of our budget. So our current budget right here is
Right.
included in that.
Yeah, it'd be like projects paid to date, or and then you got committed ones.
Committed and unpaid.
Yeah, right.
We know how much money we need in the next quarter
Right.
or month or whatever.
Right.
Well, I would like to at least, before we have further discussion, go ahead and move to pay the SEO. It's currently
So
that
one-
quarter.
one quarter?
That quarter that's now, that would be next due.
Okay.
Okay, I second that.
Okay. Any other discussions on that? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
And this was just for one quarter?
Right, another $875. And you can do when you get the end of this quarter, just do another one of those year-to-year comparisons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how about let's take one that's not as controversial, the spring radio program. When would you do that, Sandra?
Well, my suggestion would be that we try to run that maybe mid-April through mid-May, because that, right before that summer travel season, to bring it top of mind, and then also as people are making their decisions for, the kind of special trips that they're going to take, both day trips and overnight trips.
Yeah.
And this is it just with Cape NPR, or is it?
This is actually KTRS, the talk radio in St. Louis.
Okay.
And you'll have details of how many spots and what's you go.
Yeah, it will be the
contract on
same,
them.
yeah, it will be the same number of spots that we ran in the December campaign. So I take care of all those details, if you will.
I move we approve the $1,075 for the spring radio campaign.
I second that.
Okay. There's been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I vote yes too. Okay, I think the last remaining things on the table is this jury sign number 1.
Any other discussion?
No, I'm just opposed to it. I think that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of money, but I don't think we have an alternative right now. And I'd like to maybe, revisit that. Of course, we have, going backwards, going old school into the rat cards and things like that, but then we needed to find distribution and do a cost analysis of that as well. It's a step backwards, but it's also an old proven means of doing things. But it's a matter of trying to figure out which of these, and sometimes it's trying one for a while and then switching over, trying something else, and figuring out where not to throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Was there a 6-month option on here? I'm trying to remember. I thought we canceled the other one in a 6-month period.
You mean the one with Lamar?
Yeah.
The contracts. And who are these with? They're
These are both with
Drury.
Drury.
Okay.
Drury signs out of Cape Drury.
Okay.
When we had 2 northbound signs, one was with Drury and one was with Lamar.
The Lamar one was the one we canceled.
Correct. That was when we had the Lamar was the one that was close to Ozora, and we decided not to renew that when we were able to get the Drury southbound sign up by Festus.
So I thought we had to pay for a half a year or something in that one. Just don't remember.
I think that what you're recalling is the Lamar contract details. Somehow or another, we had an option to extend Lamar.
Well, maybe we paid twice a year on these things in the past.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah,
I
it
think
could be
that's
that
what it
Lamar
was.
might have been a twice a year situation.
Oh,
and
I
payment.
think so.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right,
And that-
because
yeah.
they, yeah,
And this is a full year.
right, correct. So, this, I have an example here of the Drury sign that is, near 67. And that, was for 1 year period, and they gave us a 5% discount for paying the entire balance. So, because we had already paid, the northbound Drury sign 2 years in the past, I used the same amount and assumed that we would get that discount. So that dollar amount reflects the discount, for paying it all at once. But it is, possible that we could pay for it for 6 months. We would lose, the discount if we do that.
I just think we're going into the tourism season right now. I mean,
Yeah,
that's-
I think it's good to have
We
that,
are.
because,
So,
I think it gives us a presence on I-55. There's a lot of people that travel that all day.
well, that come up
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Memphis to go to baseball games, that
well,
come
yeah,
up from
it's-
Cape
there's,
Girardeau.
there is a lot of people that see it. It's and it's nicely lit. I will say that. Some of the signs are not very well presented.
Okay, so assuming that it is the same discount, a 5% discount on a year, if we didn't have that discount, that sign would cost 6,000 per year. The 5,700 is, assuming that we take the 5% discount. So, it is possible that we could approve half of 6,000 and renew for 6 months, and then ask them if they'll allow us to do 6 months.
I would like to get the full committee to,
Yeah,
I mean, this is a significant chunk of change.
Yeah, it is.
It
Yeah,
sure
that's the
And
whole
I,
thing.
and I
And-
think we should have a good discussion
sure
about
is.
that.
you wanna call a special meeting for
Yeah,
it?
probably on that, and probably within the next week, I would think,
Sure.
since there's some,
Okay, just on
So-
that item, really?
yep. So we'll try to get, the other 3 members or
Yeah,
persons.
I think we kind of say, I think we need a little bit more input and.
Yeah, and,
And.
because it is such a significant part of our budget.
As far as
Yeah, and we
next
really
week is
don't have
concerned.
any like feedback, there's no
Well,
way to
well,
prove
I mean,
that.
that's with, we find that problem with all kinds of.
Exactly,
other than-
right?
Other than on the internet.
Right,
I mean, that's one of the
exactly.
few things that you can
Well,
get.
yeah, because you actually can track that and just, and we, when people come into our retail location, we try to ask where they found out about us,
Exactly.
Well, they get asked that question all over town.
I know, I
We
know.
ask them, you ask them, you probably
Yes.
ask, I mean, if it comes up in conversation.
Oh, yeah. Oh, as soon as we check someone in.
Yeah.
What brings you to St. Genevieve,
Mhm.
Okay, well, we'll call a special meeting just to
Okay.
discuss this item.
I'm at a conference meeting Tuesday, and then I have Heritage Commission meeting on
Actually, we
Wednesday.
have a rate code. A lot of getting the
Yeah.
girls to use it at the front desk now because they're all newer and younger.
Just-
But yeah, we have like rate codes for tourism, wineries, construction, whatever brings it. We do, yeah.
But we actually had when we were in Louisiana, we tracked that for 2 years
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and used that data to go to City Hall and they left.
Oh, they weren't data friendly.
No, we didn't have, we weren't telling them what they wanted to hear.
Oh.
Are there any other items? I'll talk to Carla tomorrow, and we'll figure out a time that works best for all of us.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other action needed on any of these items
Right now.
right now.
I would, when we come to the meeting, you might look at those contracts, Sandra, to,
Oh, I'll find that out, yeah.
those things for both of those.
Names
I'm
and dates
almost
and all that.
positive that they have to be approved for a year. I mean, the signs that we had.
Yeah,
They're a year contract.
Right.
I don't think there's,
negotiable.
yeah.
Because we get that really, I mean, this is actually a really good rate. I used to do some marketing for companies that would advertise closer up to St. Louis, and those are like 10,000 a year.
Right.
It depends on traffic count, you know, is what it's all based on. But most of our traffic count on 55, if it's coming down from St. Louis or up from Memphis and Cape, that's kind of the sweet spot for us. And you don't want it too far away, because then they
Right.
forget about it by the time they get there.
Right.
I kind of like the locations we have now in terms of the memory part.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any other expenses or anything else that someone might bring before the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
Need a second?
I'll say.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.